What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and my special guest,
Hello.
my wife Laurel here. We're here with our daily show here. We got some breaking news here regarding what's going on here in our country and a lot of different things here. We're going to jump right in here. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember here, there's this leak coming out from the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court has confirmed this is a
Legitimate.
legitimate leak. And even though the Supreme Court has not struck down
Has not yet ruled on
not
it.
yet ruled on the Roe versus Wade previous
Precedent.
we're already starting to see some decisions and states
Trickle down effects from this opinion.
already making decisions,
Mhm.
even though nothing has changed yet. Check out this story and then we'll talk about it here. Check this out.
Overturning Roe v. Wade will dramatically change access to health care in America for all women, but especially pregnant women, from IVF to birth control to ectopic pregnancies, and not to mention miscarriages, which are a very real part of pregnancy. At least 1 in 10 pregnancies end in miscarriages, and the risk is higher for women after the age of 40. In some cases, it could be as high as 1 in every 4 pregnancies in the United States. And according to experts, women who experience miscarriages are often given medical care that is similar to an abortion. For example, 2 different pills that are used for medical abortion are the only drugs recommended by the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists for miscarriages. And that treatment is under threat in states like Texas. Legislators there passed a law banning these crucial drugs that women need to treat their miscarriages. And in Missouri, House Bill 2810 would make using, prescribing, and even ordering abortion-inducing drugs or devices a Class A felony, which could carry a sentence anywhere from 10 to 30 years in prison. Dr. Lauren Thaxton, an OBGYN and assistant professor at the Dell Medical School at the University of Texas, Austin, has been hearing of pharmacies denying women access to these medications. She told NPR, quote, "The pharmacy has said, we don't know whether or not you might be using this medication for the purposes of abortion." And that is a life-threatening side effect of overturning Roe. Medically critical procedures and medications that have any resemblance to an abortion could be much more difficult to access, if not completely prohibited. Joining me now to talk more about this is that doctor just quoted in that NPR article, Dr. Lauren Thaxton. She's an OBGYN, and she's a complex family planning subspecialist at the University of Texas, Austin's Dell Medical School. Doctor, I thank you so much for being here. This is an important, nuanced issue that a lot of people haven't been talking about considering a post-Roe America. A miscarriage itself is traumatic both emotionally and physically. I personally have undergone the experience, and it haunts me to today. But I had the option to obtain medical treatment to assist with the process. Doctor, what happens if a patient can't even get the medical treatment that she needs?
Thank you, Katie, and thank you for having me here, and thank you for sharing your story of miscarriage, because that is so rarely part of the narrative of pregnancy. So to your question of what happens when miscarriage happens, which is a completely predictable and, as you said, common thing that happens in pregnancy, if patients are unable to access their options for managing their miscarriage, such as medications or a procedure, they may have unexpected bleeding, they may have critical bleeding, they may have a hemorrhage that can result in the need for blood transfusion or emergency surgeries.
Doctor, so obviously those medical prospects are dangerous to the life of the patient. What would the alternatives then remain for someone like a woman who is going through that particular emergent situation? Are there alternatives that are available for her in the event she finds herself in that position?
In the event that she finds herself in a critical condition, I would hope that she would seek medical care. I would hope that she would feel safe to seek medical care. And that is not something that, we would want patients to feel on their own managing.
Yeah, so you can see here from this headline in Texas, abortion laws are inhibiting care for miscarriages. And we're starting to already see the trickle down effect here, even though Roe versus Wade has not been struck down by the Supreme Court yet. Laura, why don't you tell them what's already happening here in Texas and maybe even other parts of the country already?
Well, in an instance of a miscarriage, if you haven't completely miscarried the fetus, you have to have help to expel that from your body. It's not, you can't
But
leave it in there.
by the way, Laurel had a miscarriage
Yes.
before we had our son Julian, who's
Hmm.
just turned 4 years old here at the end of April. So
I've been
she
there.
kind of
It's not fun.
unfortunately knows this firsthand.
But they either prescribe you a medication or you have to have a procedure done. And in Texas, their pharmacies are turning women away, not filling their prescriptions to help them assist them in that horrible situation.
So what happens? Because I'm still really not too familiar with.
Okay.
I mean, without getting too.
Well, you either have to take the medication that will induce contractions in labor,
And what, like, just
flush it all out.
okay.
Okay. Or you have to have a procedure, a DNC,
This is
where
after basically
the
it's
fetus
died.
isn't alive anymore. Right. It wasn't, it didn't make it. Um, or you have to have a DNC where they go in there and remove everything and clean everything out.
And
And you can't leave that stuff in there because it
from
can.
what I remember, you actually you had to have the doctor.
Yes, in office, long story short, I wanted to see if my body could cleanse itself, or however you want to call it, on its own. I waited like 2 or 3 weeks, and I thought that I had gotten it all, but apparently I had some things that were stuck, and my OBGYN had to go up in there in the office to unblock the blockage.
And see, this is the problem here when you talk about, and this is what I've talked about on the show, is you can't put everybody in a box.
In one basket.
You can't in a
Yeah.
basket. You can't paint with a broad brush and
No.
say, and this is where, like, the Roe versus Wade gives the woman the choice, because everybody's different.
Every situation's
Every
different.
situation's
Everything's
different.
different for
And
everybody.
my wife also almost died when she gave birth to
Mhm.
Julian. Her blood pressure, she had preeclampsia. Her blood pressure was over 200, over 150. They had to put her on magnesium, which was very.
Wicked.
Yeah, she was
Wicked.
basically bedridden, disabled for over 24 hours.
Mhm.
She couldn't get out of bed because of this medication she was on. Again, everybody's situation is different. They kind of sent in what I call like a medical SWAT team. This team itself, just for that one portion of that medical team they sent in, it was like 7 people. It was over $10,000 that they billed our medical insurance just for that one team, because they were preparing for her to go into cardiac arrest or die. So they sent in this team. Do you even remember all this?
Not really, no.
Yeah, well, they sent in this team for her to be there to be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
And now when you want to take medical treatments and choice away, and now there's already parts of the country that are saying we're not going to fill. Pharmacies are already taking it upon themselves to not fill prescriptions given by a doctor.
Yeah. And the whole thing that scares me about overturning Roe versus Wade is the amount of women that will in turn die because they're unable to get the proper treatment that they need, or they're unable to do it in a clean, safe environment, and they end up doing back alley kind of stuff or illegal things to try and I'm just afraid of all the women that are going to die because they are not allowed to have that choice anymore.
Well, and think about women that could die if they have a miscarriage
Hmm.
and can't get the proper treatments that they need
Yeah.
from their doctor.
Yeah. And in that situation, the fetus is already not viable. So, there should be no issue whether to allow to fill the medication or not.
And a lot of women already die from miscarriages. I
Mhm.
mean, I actually seen a lot of comments because, we've been talking about this a couple times. This is a very, very major issue for a lot of families, not just women, men and husbands alike as well,
Mhm.
fathers. Um, and again, there's people on both sides. I've seen a lot of really good comments of people saying, "What about the baby? What about?" And I get it. I'm a Christian. I
Yeah,
grew
no,
up. I went to Sunday school every week, and I
it's a
totally get
horrible
it.
position to be in, but the choice should be available
Uh,
if you need to seek that type of treatment.
and I think that the problem that I see here is, do we want the government telling our women what to do with their
Well,
bodies?
and the other thing
Do
is
we want
that
the government deciding? Let's take my wife. Do we want the government deciding for my wife what to do for her?
well,
Does the government broadly know your medical? Right, the government doesn't.
no,
The Supreme Court
no,
justice don't know your medical
no,
conditions. They
but
don't. They're just deciding for hundreds of millions of people.
I know. And even further, what about my rights to health care?
They're saying that they're just
I
going to
know.
decide.
So even though I in turn I could be pregnant and we want to protect the baby's rights, right? But what about my rights?
Well,
What about my health
what
care?
if you had a life threatening
What if I had
and
an
you could die?
ectopic? Yeah. No choice for me. Oh well for you.
And well,
What rights are they going to take away next? That's the problem. That's the problem is what precedence is this going to send?
and one of the reasons why we haven't been jumping to have another baby is because her first pregnancy was so dangerous.
Hmm.
And
And my health's no bueno right
yeah, she's
now.
got these kidney problems, so she's in massive pain every day.
Yeah.
And it's just really
May not
not.
it may not be in the cards, but that
Yeah.
is what it is.
So
It's a slippery slope and it worries me. I worry about the women that are going to be seeking cuz if a woman
and think
wants to do that, she's going to find a way to do it
and
if
think
she's that determined. So what is that going to lead to? You know? That scares me. People will be going to different states to get stuff done. They'll be going to, you know,
I think the problem here is that, and a lot of people have said this about vaccines as well,
yeah,
with the government forcing people and deciding broadly, you know,
yeah,
and I've seen a lot of women saying this is that if the government decides for them what to do with forcing them to have babies, what's next?
hmm,
What is the government going to do next medically? Well, what did you just say? Am I not going to be able to vote next?
yeah, yeah. Is that the next
Are they
right? Are
going
they
to take
gonna?
away
Yeah,
my right to vote?
I know. I understand that you're carrying something precious when you're pregnant, but my health is also
Spoiler.
should also be protected. You can't just cast aside the mother's health, and there's situations where unfortunately there's no other alternative that you just have to go down that road of abortion, which is sad, but the woman is the one who's going to have to deal with those consequences if she makes that decision.
The other issue I see with this here is that the changing of the opinions. Roe versus Wade has been there for like 50 years.
Hmm.
And now we have some different judges that come in with different opinions, right? And now all of a sudden there's going to be potential different laws in different states.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I have a friend in one state who it's legal for, and I have a friend in one state who it's not legal for. And then here's what also could happen. A Supreme Court justice could retire, or pass away.
And then they change it again?
And then a new justice comes in a year later, and guess what?
That's weird.
Change it again.
That's weird.
How is that the law of the land? Like, it just does not. And then we're going to be like, okay, 1 year it's legal, and the next year it's not. And then the next year it's legal, and the next year it's not. So basically, our U.S. government is going to say to you, guess what? This year it's legal for you to make a choice about your body, but tomorrow it's not going to be. Tomorrow,
if I live in a different state, it's not legal there.
Yeah, if you go across the border to another state, you can't decide what to do with your body.
Yeah, right.
I know it's your body, but the government's going to tell you what to do.
Yep. No, I agree.
But if you go back to the other state, then you can decide what's best for you.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Like,
don't agree.
It really just doesn't sound like something that would happen in America.
I agree. It should be a decision that's made between the woman, her family, her doctor, and God.
Yeah, and that's where, you made the comment here the other day, nobody wants to make this decision.
No, it's a horrible thing, and to live with a decision like that, I'm still haunted by the miscarriage. That was and God made that decision.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a really crappy situation all around. But I think that the choice needs to be there for women who have to seek that for whatever reason.
Also another thing that kind of really gets me is how this Roe versus Wade decision has kind of been leaked. And now days have gone by and it hasn't happened.
They're not gonna rule on it until like June or July.
Why?
I don't know. But that's when they're ruling on it.
Why would they put us in limbo that long? And you see now they're pushing for Supreme Court justices for getting security.
Yeah, because people are protesting outside their houses. Well, you know what? I understand that. I'm sorry, but this topic lights a fire under me. It makes me so mad because until you're in that woman's shoes, you don't know what it's like. And I know that there's situations where...
And we haven't even talked about rape.
Yeah. I know there's situations where the person was being irresponsible, and that's terrible all around. They should have did a better job of preventing things like that to happen. That's not like the best scenario, but if they have to make that choice that's best for them in that situation, I support it because it's their life. They're the ones who are going to be affected by it. And even if let's say they decide to carry it to term and adopt it, that's a horrible thing too.
What?
When you adopt out a baby and then you grow up a little bit and then your whole life you're wondering what could have been and you miss that child, like on Teen Mom.
Well, the other issue I've seen is that when people talk about adoption, there's so many people that are in the foster care system that need adoption that don't get adopted.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see a lot of people say, we'll just give the baby up for adoption, there's so many people that are in the foster care system that need adoption that never get adopted.
Yeah, it's so there's no right or wrong answer in this whole situation. It should just be the woman's choice.
Yeah, and that's where you're right. There is no right or wrong answer because when I think about the whole concept of the baby, it's just kind of it's terrible.
It's sad to think of. It really is. It's really a horrible situation, and it's a horrible responsibility to have to make a choice on. But I still think that deserves to be a woman's right to choose.
Yeah, that's where like I just
up
thinking
until
about
a certain
that whole
point,
thing, just,
that,
that's where I just kind of I go back to that higher level where like, do I want the government making decisions for me?
Yeah.
Do I want people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and whoever the Supreme Court? Well, it's not even really Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. It's the Supreme Court justices who most people couldn't even name. And again, they change. Do I want Supreme Court justices making decisions for my wife or my daughter? Who, I don't have a daughter, but I mean, you get the idea, right? So yeah. Anyways, this is a major issue here for our country.
And women's rights.
Women's rights, and thereby fathers' rights and family rights. And honestly, the way it looks is it does look like it's going to be changed. There is a Republican majority in the Supreme Court, and you could let me know your thoughts here. Do you think it's going to be changed? A recent ruling or a recent polling here showed, you can see here just a few days ago, the latest polling shows broad public support for leaving Roe versus Wade intact, the current way it is now. You can see here Americans remain broadly opposed to overturning Roe versus Wade, the decision that legalized abortion nationwide. Basically just leaves the decision up to the woman, up to women. 66% say Roe versus Wade should not be completely struck down, and 59% would support Congress passing legislation to establish a nationwide right to abortion. But this still leaves a lot of people that think that it should be the other way. So it's still really a lot divided, and I really still.
Well, it's not going to be up to the people. It's going to be up to 9 Supreme Court justices who are going to choose whether women have that right or if we get it taken away. So 9 people will make that choice for millions of women across the nation. 9 people.
And that's where everybody's different, and that's where.
And every situation's different.
And
you
that's
can't
where,
just broad pass it and broad illegalize it.
And that's where it should kind of default to the government shouldn't make the decision for you. It should be your own choice. If you want to carry the baby and give it up for adoption, and a lot of people, they make that choice and then they end up keeping it. But again, that's your choice. If you decide, I don't want to do that, I want to have an abortion, or if you decide it's too dangerous, but guess what? You get to make that choice. The government doesn't get to make that choice for you.
That's what America's all about.
So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. We've seen a lot of comments both ways, and I totally respect each way. Like I said, I'm a Christian. I went to Sunday school every single week. I went to church with my parents all the time. Her dad goes to church all the time. We go there with him.
I went to a Jesuit college.
Yeah. So I totally get the arguments on each way. Like I said, when you think about it, it's not
very unpleasant.
Anything to think about. I just kind of, like I said, I could argue either side. I just kind of go back to the default of I don't want the government to make a decision for my wife. Not that we're getting an abortion or anything. We have a son, Julian, but we've also had a miscarriage. I just don't. I wouldn't want the government to make a decision for anybody's wives or daughter, and it's just it's a dangerous situation for a lot of people. So
yeah,
let me know your opinion in the comment. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And this is going to be a major decision that's going to affect hundreds of millions of people here in the U.S. And it could be changed again in a year or so. Yeah, so make sure to subscribe down below. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll keep you up to date here. You can click here to watch our newest stimulus check video. We just did a massive video that's right here that came out here with a lot of different states and federal stimulus check information. So click on that video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.